Okay, so we are recording this about 18 hours, I think. Is it about 18 hours? Something like that. About 18 hours since the broadcast.
Yeah, around that. I mean,
Around that, yeah.
6:30 last night, so yeah, around 18 hours, I'd say.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that because we're still kind of riding the high of that one. Because, you know, as ever on this podcast, especially when we talk about Doctor Who, which is getting perilously close to the only thing we're talking about again.
Yeah, I was about to say that seems to be the about the only thing we're talking about quite lately.
Well,
if it's
fine.
not like a full-on retrospective, and then it's subjecting your poor co-host to the snore of destruction.
No, instead we're going to be talking about the Snow Beast, Wild Snow Yonder,
For God's sake.
and the Snorgle. As we see, now I've made that joke because now you can't say any of that anymore, so we can move on.
Well, no, I can't.
The Snorgle. No, you can't. No. So, yeah, we're going to try and keep this as little rambly as is humanly possible.
Don't lie.
I think it's safe to say...
Don't lie to our audience.
I'm going to try, okay? Like, the goal is not to hit the 2-hour mark on this one.
Right,
I'm
again,
not doing
just
that.
stop lying.
Okay, we are going to go for the 4-hour cut.
The 60th Snyder Cut, bloody hell.
I don't want to have the Snyder Cut for the 60th time. Thanks very much, Dan. Yeah, so obviously we've been extremely excited to see these ones. I've been
Just a
hit and
bit.
miss on my... I mean, just a little bit. I mean, my anticipation has kind of been fluctuating because, you know, as we've already done on this podcast for the last year or so, we have been covering a couple of bits of Doctor Who. Some we like, some we
Yes.
haven't.
You can find the playlist in the description.
In the description, I've now got it for the classic series and the revived one.
Yes, it's Into the Whoniverse, the revived series. So that's like from 2005 right up until
Last year.
Yeah, basically. You see, time
Because
is just non-existent when you've been subjected to that much Doctor Who.
Yeah, I don't even know what this era is even called. Yes, I've just referred to it as the Whoniverse era on Letterboxd.
Well, yeah, because that kind of seems like the
episodes.
official title of it. I mean, seeing as how when the whole title plays, the Whoniverse pops up, so it's no other better title, really.
Not really. I already know Dan's general thoughts because it's just been so sweet how, like, well, after every episode that we've watched, it's just been like, Regan, mate, oh my god.
You know, it was kind of funny after last night's one. I had my phone like in front of me, and I was just waiting from a message from you saying,
Yeah.
Dan.
And it was just like, and there was a lot of swearing, because unsurprisingly, obviously with the return of Russell T Davies, David Tennant, Catherine Tate, an alien genocidal marsupial thing, some mirror monsters, and Neil Patrick Harris, the actor, dancing to the Spice Girls. I bloody loved this trilogy of specials. I don't know about you, Dan.
I mean, I kind of have to give my thoughts on, again, on, how Doctor Who left, and it's been revitalised, thankfully, now. Pretty much the last time we had anything was the special under Chris Chibnall's era, which wasn't too bad, but it wasn't brilliant either. It was just like, well, it's a damn sight better than, like, pretty much everything he's done.
Yeah.
For the most part. There was the odd
For the most
episode, but, most of his era was just an absolute
farce.
fluxy mess.
Yes, it was a bit of a clusterflux, as I think I called it at
It
one
was,
point.
yes, it was an absolute clusterflux. So, as you say, we have been pretty much, like, beyond excited for the return of Russell T Davies because, we both grew up with the Russell T Davies era. So, yeah, I'm much like yourself. I absolutely loved it. It just felt that Doctor Who went back to its root back in 2005. It was like watching something out of 2005 again, essentially. Obviously not like 2005 graphically. We have come a long way graphically.
Well, we have for the most part. We'll certainly address that bit.
We have for the most part. But no, I really liked it, and there's just so much to unpack, which I'm very sure we'll talk about. But for the most part, I was just literally subjecting myself to like maybe the last like 5 or 6 minutes to the weakest link before Doctor Who came on.
So was I.
Yeah, because I just didn't want to miss it at all, because I kind of found that every Saturday leading up to this third one, when it got to 6 o'clock, it just felt like time had it just wasn't working. It just was going so slow. Like, I'd check like every 5 minutes, like, it's only been 3 minutes, calm down. Seriously. But thankfully, got into these specials and I've loved them. I've loved them all. I think they're absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I think my opinions on each one has remained pretty much the same. We'll definitely get into it, obviously, a little bit later. We're not going to do it like we used to, where it's like delve into each episode just stupidly because time limits and stuff like that. I don't really want to do that. That's one of those things I wish we hadn't done, because quite frankly, for the sake of your emotional health and that as well, like having to do a deep dive into Doctor Who Flux episode 3, just awful. I just love how that's like the specific episode I've highlighted, or Legend of the Sea Devils. But no, I think for me, these specials are exactly what the series needed after 5 years of, we'll say, mediocrity.
Yeah, probably the best word for it.
Yeah. It's, quite frankly, the perfect way to celebrate 60 years by not necessarily doing the biggest stories that the show has ever done, because I'm actually going to open up with one criticism that I've seen for these three specials, which I just think is completely misses the point, and that is that these stories don't feel special enough to be the 60th anniversary specials. And I get where they're coming from, but... And I think it boils down to...
You see, to add to that, I think that boils down to the fact that every time there's been, like, a Doctor Who special, it always involves the Doctor fighting, like, one of the oldest enemies he's faced, you know, the Daleks or the Cybermen. How many times can you truthfully do that without it doing the same thing as every other special? It's not going to work.
But I think as well, it also stems from people just naturally assuming that because it's the 60th, it's going to be a multi-Doctor story or whatever, and they're expecting, oh, well, it's the 60th, so we're going to have, like, Avengers Endgame style lines of Doctors and companions going up against the Celestial Toymaker with 1 billion Daleks, and, like, an army of little adipores with, like, machine guns or some rubbish like that.
As beautiful as that sounds, you know, all of the Doctors and companions just standing on the roof of the unit headquarters. Lower your expectations.
Yeah, exactly. But also, I think what Russell's done, and even Russell T Davies has said this himself, he freely admitted he didn't want to do a multi-Doctor special because he doesn't know how to write it without it just becoming fan service. So props to Stephen Moffat for making it work. Once, we'll say sort of twice. And yeah, we technically got that with the Giggle, but we'll get to that. What these three specials do, I think, highlight how Doctor Who has survived for 60 years, with how every single week it can be something different. Like, the Star Beast is, for me, the weakest of the three, but it's family-friendly, it's quite warm, it's quite inviting, but it's also good at subverting standard science fiction tropes. Wild Blue Yonder is the more experimental horror, let's just throw everything at the fan at the end of the universe.
You're telling me.
And it works. And the Giggle is like the bombastic action with the proper classic villain, and is just changes everything. That's how Doctor Who has always worked, and that's how these specials do it. And I think, to be honest, I mean, not I'm going to rank every single anniversary episode, because each one is very, very different. The stuff that happens in these ones, I think, excels any of the other ones, frankly. Like, even the Giggle in particular is one of the finest episodes of Doctor Who I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, I must admit that I think the Giggle has got to be probably my favourite special to date.
I think so, yeah. And I'd have to rewatch A Christmas Carol again, because I know when we discussed Series 5 last year, I was like,
yeah, we had a bit of a soft spot for Christmas Carol. Yeah.
And I'll be watching that again probably around Christmas, because we've actually got a Christmas special. But I think for me, I mean, these specials just do it brilliantly. That being said, I'm going to address one thing first, because this is going to be...
Oh dear.
I don't know how fierce a debate this is going to be, because I think we were both on the fence with this when it first got announced and revealed. Of course, we have the return of David Tennant as the Doctor, in this case, the 14th Doctor. the reason I'm kicking off with this is because I was really mixed on him playing a new incarnation. I mean, I like it in concept, but I thought I have to wait and see what they actually do with it, and what is the reasoning for him actually coming back. And I think at the time, I theorized it's probably something to do with the toy maker messing around with reality, because that's just what he does, because he's just a knob.
Because he's just a knob.
Okay, I'm sorry. Am I wrong?
No, he's a bit of an arse end, like.
Yeah, he is. An arse end. The celestial arse end. There's worse names to give him. But I assumed it was that. But then obviously we got the confirmation that these specials were quite standalone and don't really feed into each other too much. So that theory went out the window, and I think there's like one or two lines of dialogue in the Giggle that kind of suggests why he's back in this face, essentially telling him to slow down or something like that.
Yeah, Donna constantly makes pokes at. I think she even does it in the second special, where it's like, you just need to slow down. Mm-hmm. And I think that is right, considering the end of the Giggle.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, because I think immediately I assumed, okay, we're going to get something similar to Peter Capaldi being cast as the Doctor, who'd already appeared before, but as a different character. But I think the reason why this one, I wouldn't say it annoys me, it just kind of frustrates me a bit, is because bar the costume change and him actually still running around pretty well for like a 52-year-old, so well done, dear Tennant, on that one. He is literally just the 10th Doctor again, and I don't know if I like that or not.
I must... It's weird for me, because I can't see a new version of the Doctor without seeing the 10th version of the Doctor. Because it's still the 10th Doctor, just in different clothes. The same personalities there, everything.
There is actually an interesting comment that Tennant said about coming back. And he says if he was going to play it completely differently, he wouldn't do it, because it wouldn't make sense. And I'm sat there thinking, no, actually, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Hell, if you were going to still do the 60th, you could have had Tennant as the toy maker. So he just has Tennant's face to mess with him, because that is absolutely something that the toy maker would do. Hell, even Matt Smith had said a couple of years ago, if he was going to come back to the show, he'd like to come back as the Master for like a very similar reason. I'm sat there thinking, that's a genius idea. You could absolutely do that, and especially because, I mean, you could mess with people even further and use Eccleston if you felt so compelled. You could bring him back.
That would be like the absolute
middle finger to everyone.
It absolutely would.
Because you would bring him back under the guise that he's the Doctor. You're going to trust everything he says, and then suddenly he's revealed to be the villain. I'm like, ooh, that's a good idea. Again, I'm trying to be careful with how I word it, because I don't want to make it sound like, well, in my head it was this, so therefore it's better. Because it's not.
Yeah.
Because everything in my head is rubbish. Because, I'm not a screenwriter. It was just something that was always there in the back of my head as I'm watching, even though Tennant is still brilliant.
He's brilliant,
he
but
really is.
I just think it's strange, like trying to piece it all together. I mean, the most logical way I see it is, it's the the celestial knob maker.
That sounds like a very different villain, Dan.
Oh God,
he's just making an army of knobs.
Oh no.
He's dressed as a Doctor Who monster, and he's just...
I think even if they didn't have Tennant, I think Ncuti Gatwa would have been fine just on its own. But I'm pleased that it does work, particularly at the end, because I mean, you do see the 10th Doctor no matter what, because it's David Tennant. It's the 10th Doctor. It's the childhood Doctor, particularly to me.
Yeah.
But I think it's just you kind of just assume that it's something to do with the toy maker, that he's just basically taking reality and scrunching it up in a ball and just yeeting it off of the surfaces of the universe. And
or
that's
just
why
throwing
he's
it
there.
off other doctors.
That's why
and
he's
stuff like
there.
Yeah. Again, it's I think it ended up about as well as I thought it would in that terrific performance. He's still got it. It's actually quite frustrating that Russell then takes it upon himself to actually give a bit of emotional weight to the flux this time with the next Doctor, and I'm sat there thinking, as much as I like that scene in Wild Blue Yonder, when it is actually confirmed that yes, the Flux wiped out half the universe and the Doctor feels crap about it, even though it wasn't their fault. And I'm like, where the hell was all this with the last one? Because this is both nice that we get some proper context.
It's the fact that a sentence had more emotional weight than that entire episode.
It did. Again, just writing, just like even after watching the Starbase, I was even saying to my girlfriend, I was like, just the writing. People are acting like people. They're not acting like cartoon characters or just vague versions of humans. They're actually acting and talking like people. And like I say, with that one sentence in Wild Blue Yonder about the Flux, I'm like, why the hell does that have more resonance than 6 episodes that I had to sit through?
Episodes. A sentence has more emotional weight than all 6 of those episodes. It's mental.
That has at least 12 sentences in them. At least 12. But yeah, it's nice to see, but it's still annoying that Russell had to be the one to, not solve it, but do something with it. Of course, you've got Donna back, Catherine Tate. Great, as ever. I love her. It's just one of those things, like, I've always loved Donna. I can't actually remember what your thoughts on Donna were when we talked about Series 4.
Oh, I love Donna.
That long ago. Yeah.
I absolutely love Donna. She's just... she's probably one of my favourite companions of the modern era. I mean, we've had some terrific companions over the whole entirety of 60 years of Doctor Who, but Donna is just a standout companion.
Yeah. And she's still great in this. I will say, though, I really don't like how sudden they get rid of the meta-crisis stuff. Like, I knew they were going to have to deal with it. Of course, they're going to deal with it in the first episode of the 3. But then it's one of those awkward ones where I can kind of see where they're going, of course, with Yasmin Finney as Donna's daughter Rose, doing a pretty good job, actually, though she's got nothing to do, really. Like, I didn't actually realise when they revealed the Meep to be a bit of an arse. Wrong time to take a drink, Dan.
Mm-hmm. When they revealed the Meep to be a bit of an arse.
Yeah. There's absolutely no reaction from Rose at all. They never cut to her reaction to any of that, and I'm sat there thinking, she's the one that bloody found you. Like, there should be something there.
Yeah, she's the one been harbouring this little alien fuzzball in a shed, and she's just like, she just stands there.
Yeah. And there is that last line after the let go of the meta-crisis thing, and I mean, I straight up don't like the line. I mean, I know there's other people that absolutely detest the line, but it's like something along the lines of, we can just let it go. This is something where if you were still a woman, you would understand this. And I'm sat there thinking, it was literally a woman an hour ago. Like, literally an hour ago. Like, what kind of a line even is that? Again, it's an awkward one to judge, because I'm like, I kind of get what Russell's doing, but at the same time, that sounds a bit... Nah. I just don't like it, to be honest. It's just quite funny seeing how apparently Ofcom got 100 complaints with the fact they had.
Oh, it's just ridiculous. Like, people need to just get a life, seriously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I mean,
like, have you got nothing better to do than just watch a program on TV, and then you don't like it because there's somebody who's this or that or the other?
Someone who's not you.
Don't watch it then. Simple.
Yeah.
If I see something I don't like, I'm not going to like ring up Ofcom and go absolutely bananas over it.
No, instead, we are just going to record a podcast and put it on the internet instead.
Yeah.
Halo Infinite. But no, I mean, like, in general, like, I do really like the inclusion of Donna here. I think it is really great. And just the ending with her as well, I think is really sweet, even after everything.
Whole, if she remembers me, she'll die thing kind of does a very, very quick wrap-up U-turn, but, hey-ho.
Yeah, she dies for 5 seconds. It's fine.
So, it's all this time it's been like, if she remembers me, she'll die. If she even thinks of me, she'll die. Mm-hmm. Thinks of him, and just, phew, fine.
And to think we've already done that twice now, as well.
But I mean, it was going to be. I think that was going to be a challenge to kind of include that without, because how on earth are you going to have Donna Noble and the Doctor Donna again if the Doctor Donna is going to die?
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit of an awkward one, I think. But I think, bar that rapid U-turn of getting rid of the meta crisis for script reasons, I do still like seeing the two of them back. And as I say, their ending at the end of the Giggle is actually quite sweet, to be honest. Like, it doesn't ruin anything from series 4. If anything, it's just a nice epilogue, essentially.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just an epilogue.
While we're sticking with characters, obviously we'll talk about the villains that we get for these three. Of course, we've got the Meep.
Meep.
I love the Meep. It's such a good misdirect. I mean, it's
I love?
Brilliant.
Just that part where Donna goes into the shed and Rose tells the Meep to hide, and she just notices the Meep, which obviously she thinks is Teddy. It's like, oh my god, it's so realistic. And she pokes its eye, and our reaction is just, what the hell is that?
We've got a bloody Martian in the shed.
I'm sorry, human. I'm really sorry. Please be my friend.
The Martian bit absolutely killed me.
I'm pretty sure.
What's going on? We've
there was
got a bloody Martian in the shed.
I'm sure at one point she calls him like a furry weasel or something as well, or something along
like
those
that.
lines. And I was like, will you stop hurting the poor thing that's going to hurt everyone on the planet? It's just like, I just love that they do this. I mean, for one, basing it on a comic book, really cool idea. Secondly, also just, I think even we said it at the time, just the idea of basically taking Grogu from The Mandalorian, chucking some fur on him, and making him a genocidal maniac. I'm like, you know what? I'm absolutely there for that. I really, really am. I think it's such a good idea. And just even that reveal. I mean, first of all, the actual practical thing looks brilliant. I think it
the
looks
puppetry and stuff behind it is fascinating.
It just looks so helpless. Utterly helpless, and you just immediately fall in love.
Which I think why that twist works so well. Because he feels so sorry for him. He just wants to get back to his planet, and these horrible bug things are just hunting him down. And then the reveal that
to hell with this.
as he bluntly pointed out, it turns out the Meep is a bit of an arsehole.
It's just a little bit of an arsehole. Even the voices for the Wrath Warriors, I love how just normal they are. They just sound like people. They don't sound like monsters or anything, which just works for like the misdirect. I mean, granted, I already knew about the misdirect a year ago because, I do my research annoyingly. So even I was like, I cannot wait to see how the reveal plays out. Because even just explaining it to my friends where they're like, but he looks so cute. I'm like, yeah, he's actually going to murder everyone. It's like, no, he's not. It's like, yeah, he is. Like, no, he's not. Yeah, he is.
The cutest ones are always the killers.
Exactly. But Miriam Margolyes as the Meep as well is just the best kind of casting, I think.
Yeah.
It's such a good idea. And I really hope that there is outtakes of her doing the voice and she just constantly swears. Because that's who Miriam Margolyes is. I'm like... I mean, I'm sure I sent you a link to her.
You did.
Where it's just like the Star Beast, but just censored, and it's just a load of swearing off the Meep. And I'm like,
Yes, I'm sick of this.
to bleep with this.
It's just every F under the sun, it really is.
Oh, it really is. But I'd say it really works. Also with Wild Blue Yonder, which no one really knew anything about, which I think even Russell said, I wish I hadn't kept it that much of a secret. He just didn't want to...
Regan, honestly, watching that one, right, I think that might just be the weirdest Doctor Who episode I've ever watched.
Well, the nut things are just a genius idea. It's basically taken the Midnight Monster, but actually given it just a little bit more oomph, essentially.
Like,
I will say this. And
my reaction to just when, obviously, the Mirror Monsters, or whatever the hell they're called,
the not things, I think they're called. At one
not
point, it's like,
things.
just like we are not things, which I
Not
like that there's
things.
no name because I don't need a name.
Yeah. But just when they're, in the rooms just faffing about, just trying to solve the mystery, essentially, of why they're at the edge of the universe, why the ship, what is the robot, why is it moving at like a snail's pace? And then all you hear is, my arms are too long. You just see this really like long arm. It's just like, what the absolute hell?
It's just such a good idea. I mean, I was getting like major World of Different Time vibes from the ship at like the end of the universe and like everything's slowed down. I'm like, okay, is there like a black hole we haven't seen yet? Because it's exactly like that. But I mean that entire episode is great, save for the weird cold open, which I know why some people don't like it. I don't like it just because it's not very. I just think it's a bit silly. I mean that entire episode, especially with like the not things, I think it's great. But visuals, there's some really bad green screen. I'm really sorry.
There are a few instances where I'm like, oh, this is a little bit ropey here. I think we're maybe a bit too reliant on this, guys.
It's the corridors for me. I don't like even if you just darkened it a bit, it would look a bit. I think it would look a bit better.
Of it are when there is like a wide shot of it, and like it's to try and show how big the ship is, but you can just tell it's just a green screen because you can kind of see the difference in like the fuzz and things like that behind characters. It just looks very off. But I wouldn't say it absolutely ruined it, but I'm like, ooh, this is yikes. I'm not really getting the vibe that this is a spaceship. I'm thinking this is a green space. A green spaceship. A green screen ship.
Yeah. But then, of course, with the Giggle, we have the return after 58 years. We have the Toy Maker, played by Neil Patrick Harris, in one of the best performances I've ever seen in Doctor Who. I absolutely love this guy. I think he's just unbelievably menacing. And I think it was just the preview clip that came out a couple of days ago when the Doctor and Donna go into his shop and he's just juggling the balls and stuff. And just that alone,
Just starts
and him
launching
just, like,
the juggle
talking-
balls at them. Yeah, because
Exactly,
You know what it is?
like-
He reminds me a lot of like the killers out of Scream, with that like sinister sense of humor. Because that scene in particular where he's like juggling the balls, and then it just like it goes from like a ball game to juggling a guy's skull. I'm like, what?
Yeah. And I think he's got great chemistry with Tennant as well, because I think even Russell said if you're going to have someone play a villain like that, you need someone who can go toe-to-toe with Tennant. You can't have someone lower. And there's not many actors left who could actually do that. So you bring in an actor who had never heard of Doctor Who until Russell had got in touch with him. I'm like, how the hell do you not know about it? Like, it's massive in America. You must know. And apparently he didn't. And I'm like, that's really cool that he knows absolutely nothing about it. And yet,
sometimes it is cool when you do get somebody who's like, okay, so I've never heard of Doctor Who. What's it all about?
and he just plays it brilliantly. I really like
he does.
him.
I love the take on it because, as I say, he reminds me an awful lot of the killer's personality from Scream, where he's just like absolutely messing with people, like not even in like harmful ways sometimes, but he's just purely and utterly just terrorizing people for the sake of having fun.
Yeah, and to be honest, I like a villain like that where there's not really like a really long motivation. Like, oh yeah, my twin brother threw me into a vat of acid, I survived, and I came back out and I won revenge on the entire universe. That's a very long-reaching thing. But I like the idea of a villain who's just evil because he just wants to be. It's a bit like the Joker in The Dark Knight. Like even Alfred says, funnily enough, like some people just want to watch the world burn. Like, yeah, that is basically the Toy Maker. He's just having fun because that's just who he is.
It is though.
That's absolutely fine. I like that. I don't need him to have like a massive feud with the Doctor for thousands of years. Like, right now, I'm actually going to do something about it.
I'm kind of glad that there's no like whole background of why he's evil or stuff like that. He's just evil because he wants to be evil.
And that's absolutely fine. I mean, in terms of even like the look of these specials, I think they are. I mean, bar the really ropey green screen in Wild Blue Yonder, for the most part, this trilogy of specials looks absolutely brilliant.
Spot on.
Just
absolutely.
And it's just nice that they brought back Rachel Talalay to direct the first special as well, because she directed some of the best stuff in the Capaldi era. Just like such a good idea.
I think out of all three of them, I think the Giggle, I mean, I did say before, but I think the Giggle is just the absolute highlight. I mean, they're all good, but the Giggle is just such a highlight. And
yeah.
I think for me personally, it's because, you know, we had 60 years of Doctor Who. I was honestly just expecting, yeah, great, we're going to have like the Daleks rock up or something like that for the 170 millionth time. But no, they actually choose to go with a villain that has had one time appearance and is in one episode because the rest are lost. Mm-hmm. So they bring back the Toymaker. I'm like, wow, that's actually brilliant.
Yeah, I don't even think the Daleks even get even like a name drop, save for like one of Rose's plushies being like a Dalek squid thing. I think the closest we get is Davros. I don't think the Daleks are ever mentioned at all, and I'm like,
nah,
that's quite nice. That makes a change.
Yeah, it is actually just quite nice to not hear that D word anymore. Daleks.
Oh, that word. Oh, okay.
But no, I really like the Giggle because it's just it gives a lot of like Master vibes, especially like the John Sim particular era where he's just absolutely messing with people.
Which is just weird when you say. I mean, for one, I love the fact that the Doctor has now faced two like larger than life villains with a dance number in the span of a couple of hours in their life. like there's Rasputin, and then there's the Spice Girls. Like this Doctor is literally been Tennant for like 2 or 3 hours.
It's like the Time Lord X Factor, like, it really is.
Yeah, it's just like, of all eras in my life, why the hell do I need to see this kind of thing twice?
That I do whole like scene with the Toymaker just dancing his way into the unit headquarters and just dancing with people and yeeting them against the walls. Poor Bonnie. Poor Mel.
You know, I will actually say this now. That clip of her meeting 14 is actually the clip I've watched the most from the Giggle. I think it's so sweet. And it is like, I don't particularly, I mean, no one really likes Mel as a character anyway, mostly because she's supposed to be like a computer geek and just screams all the time. And now finally in this special, she actually gets to be at a bloody computer. But just that reaction from Tennant, where he's just so overjoyed to say, I'm like, oh my God, that's so adorable.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Because I'd completely forgotten that she was actually in this one, because you see her in the background in some of the trailers. I completely forgot up until that point. I see a part of the jacket. I'm like, oh my God, it's actually going to be Mel again. And just his reaction is so sweet. It's beautiful. But I mean, going back to presentation, I know I just went on a bit of a tangent. The title sequence. I'm a bit more mixed on it than I was initially. Like riding the high after the Starbase, I was like, oh my God, this looks brilliant. In retrospect, I think it needed a few more hours in the rendering department. It looks but that's me just being nitpicky, because the theme tune is brilliant. I love the theme tune.
Is awesome. There's no other word for it.
I just really don't like how the BBC logo is technically bigger than the Doctor Who logo in the titles. It's just like Doctor Who BBC. By the way, we are the BBC.
I'm like, can you guys
just like shrink it down a bit? Yeah.
I've noticed the BBC ever since I started watching Doctor Who. I really don't need a larger than title of the show BBC thing. Just BBC.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a really weird thing to do. And you know, as I say, going back with the music, I mean Murray Gould's back for the first time in 5 years, and for the most part, I think it's really nice. I just hope we don't have to wait for 10 years to get the bloody soundtrack, because I really want to listen to the soundtrack. In particular,
hopefully
I think
not.
the theme tune. Yeah, I think the theme tune for the Toymaker, I really want to listen to, especially when the Doctor figures out it's the Toymaker, and it's just that sort of like dancing chant in the background. I really like that. I don't need the Spice Girl one. That's fine. But even just like hearing like some of the background stuff, you do hear callbacks to like the previous eras. In fact, I'm pretty sure that the music that plays when Tennant's about to explode, or in this case, split in half, actually comes from. I think it comes from the end of series 1, with the hologram of the Ninth Doctor. I think it's from that, if I remember rightly. And I'm like,
Oh, really?
why the hell is it that? Because at first I thought I heard a bit of Validachem, and it's not actually that. I was like, don't you bloody dare, Murray.
Don't you dare.
Like, we are not playing that game, thank you. But I mean, in general, it sounds really, really great.
It is brilliant, and I do hope that the score will be available for listening soon. We don't have to wait like a decade for it.
Obviously, we'll go into some key moments. I think for me, from the first one, I think, as we already said, Meep in the shed, which sounds funny when you say it out loud. I think that's great. The reveal of the evil, the reveal of Arse Meep.
Arse Meep.
So many nicknames for
turd.
this thing. Yeah. It sounds like something from Gremlins, to be honest. Oh my god, it's a gremlin. It's a mogwai. It's a homicidal mogwai. Well, actually, it's just a gremlin then. Actually.
Yeah, he does pretty much turn to a gremlin at that reveal where he just screams to hell with it.
Yeah. Donna getting her memories back, as contrived as it is, I think works quite nicely. But I think my favourite scene, because we haven't mentioned it yet, is what I'm now going to consider to be the best introduction to a TARDIS I think I've seen. It's kind of beautiful.
It is, yes.
Just seeing Tennant overjoyed and just running around the set, and I'm like, oh my god. He's not even acting at this point, he's just running around really excited.
Yeah,
because he's
it's
just
like watching like
again.
a kid. It's like watching a kid on Christmas just running around absolutely rampant. Oh, I just love it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know that set was leaked about a year ago, actually. I think I've actually still got a clip of it on my phone. And it was real. I mean, people were saying, oh, it's going to be the biggest TARDIS thing ever. I'm like, is it though? Yes, it is. It's absolutely massive. But
Yes,
it looks
it's pretty big.
so nice. It's so good. I think it is actually. It may well become my favourite TARDIS.
Oh,
It's just
really?
annoying that it's...
Ah.
Well, I mean, currently my favourite's still 12's TARDIS from Series 9 and 10. Because, I just like how it's just jam-packed full of just random objects, like a bookcase and his guitar and stuff like that. That was my only issue with this one, is that there's no, like, sort of home comforts until the end with Shooty and the jukebox. I'm like, that alone, I'm like, right, we have a bit of furnishing. Excellent, I like this. And it's orange. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine with that. And I love how technicolor we can get. Like, okay, we can have a blue, we can have it like flashy purple, we can have it be green. It could just be any color. It's essentially just take the 1963 console and be like, yeah, can we add like a couple more floors and just some extra lights and
just
rid of
add
the
some
wire on the
RGB
floor?
lights into it, please.
Yes, exactly. They basically just hooked up a Philips Hue set. And it's just full of that now.
It just got an
And
LED
I can speak
strip
on that
and
because
just...
and I can reference that because we have the Philips Hue set at home, and it does exactly the same thing. Like if we want the living room to be purple, we can make it purple.
We want the TARDIS to be orange, we can make it orange.
Exactly. What about you? What's your favourite moments from the first special?
Ooh,
If there's any I haven't mentioned.
I mean, pretty much all the ones he mentioned, but probably just the end where they just decide to go on a trip for old time's sake.
Yeah.
I think that
do
was just
actually quite
nice
like
to
that.
see again after so long. Mm-hmm. And the fact that Donna just breaks the
Ruins
TARDIS
this.
by spilling a cup of coffee on it. Like,
You know
of
what it is?
all
I
the
mean, for one-
things that the TARDIS has gone through, it takes a cup of coffee to truly set it off into the edge of the universe.
I just love that as an idea, to be honest.
Like, it's not the
And-
Daleks shooting at it, it's not the fact that it's getting smashed off buildings, no, it's the fact when my silly companion decides to spill a cup of coffee on it.
To be honest, I like how it's a nice callback to that original console, because I think the one in the 60s, I think
Yeah,
it actually
it
does.
was-
At one point
yeah.
says there's a coffee machine. I'm like, that's adorable. But at least it
Yeah.
actually has a purpose beyond Whittaker's having a custard cream machine that's never used again. I'm like, why has there never been an instance where there's some
it's
custard
literally
cream
just
crumbs that get
mentioned,
stuck in
isn't
the
it?
console? Yeah, there's no custard cream crumbs that get stuck in the console and it just blows up reality. I would have loved to have seen that.
It's
like,
no wonder
so,
the flux
Doctor,
happened. She just didn't clean the TARDIS out.
so we should have called it I can't figure out where to combine flux and custard. Fluxted.
Flustered.
Fluxted creams.
Flustered creams. Flustered creams.
The following episode of Doctor Who is sponsored by custard creams. They are all going to kill you one day. Obviously we've already mentioned a fair amount from Wild Blue Yonder. The bit I didn't actually mention, and that was the bit that I was really, really worried about, and that is finally seeing Wilf again for the last time. I was already kind of broken when that happened, and then when it's confirmed that is the only thing he could shoot, and I just broke.
I honestly, my eyes were watery as hell watching that because it was just so unexpected. I think like they're just gonna land and then it's gonna be like a teaser for the next one, and it's like, oh, hello, old soldier. I was like, nah. Thanks, Russell.
Just cheers, Russell, for that, you moron. Hate you.
Breaking my damn heart.
Once again. It was difficult to watch, to be honest, because I thought he has to pop up at
It was
some
lovely,
point.
though. It was absolutely lovely.
Yeah, it just meant
And even the whole thing of, like, the memoriam of Bernard Cribbins and stuff like that was a lovely touch as well.
Yeah, I think that should have sealed it for me, that was the only thing he could shoot, because otherwise they would have put the remembrance thing, I think, in the Giggle if they had anything, which that does confirm that the shot of Donna in the trailer as she's watching the Doctor dance with the toy maker, and there's just sort of like the hint of a flat cap at the bottom of the screen. That's only because it's a stand-in. It's not actually Bernard.
Yeah.
So that did confirm everything. I was like, oh man, that's really sad.
But I do like how they're kind of keeping him on in spirit, because I think like in the end where the Doctor has settled down with the Noble family, and he's like, oh, where's the old fella at? And he's like, oh, he's shooting moles. Like,
but there's a force field, so that they don't die.
There's a force field because I like moles.
I'm like, you're a fan of moles? Yeah, I love moles. I love them. Yeah, that is really sweet. And then obviously with the Giggle, there's obviously plenty, but we will mention the bit that we haven't actually yet, and that's of course the bi-generation. Completely changing the concept of regeneration for the first time.
It's always been the Doctor just gets very glowy and then bam, new face. I really was not expecting like something from the Thing to occur, where there's just another Time Lord that just comes out of another Time Lord. Wow.
To be honest, it doesn't even seem that far-fetched considering what happens with the 10th Doctor at the end of Series 4 when his hand gets morphed into another Doctor. I'm like, so he can technically split bodies. That has kind of been seen.
Yeah. Just not
in this
quite
case,
to the extent of where a full other Time Lord comes out. I mean, granted, there's a Time Lord that grows from a hand, but, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But even then, at that point, I think it was only like 20 minutes left of the episode. I'm thinking, okay, so Shooty's going to have more than a single line of dialogue, surely, or they're going to pause it for a bit. I don't know which one it was going to be. But we get the bi-generation, which that's very much split the fandom. I don't know
Quite
why.
literally.
I think it's you're funny. Funny, Dan. You're hilarious. Dress as a Menoptera and just being funny. Stupid Mothman. I do actually have a quote from Russell T Davies about this whole bi-generation thing and how it's seemingly bigger than it actually is in this special. Like some people saying, "Oh, woman, there's no explanation, therefore I don't like it." I'm like, wow, you must have hated the original Star Wars trilogy. You must have hated it because nothing about the Force is explained. Like, you idiots. So Russell was talking about this on, I think it was both Doctor Who Unleashed and the Doctor Who podcast that's on YouTube. Mm-hmm. It's not ours. Bastard. It should have been. But he was talking about the idea of doing the bi-generation and how essentially this whole thing trying to explain it. So
it's kind of trying to explain it, isn't it, in a way that's going to make sense.
Yeah. So Davies essentially explained that when Tennant and Gatworth split in two, it's not just them bi-generating, it's the entire timeline. So from Davies' perspective, he's saying that I think all the Doctors came back to life with their individual TARDISes, the gift of the Toymaker, and they're all out there travelling around in what I'm calling a Doctorverse. So essentially, every single time the Doctor is regenerated past, it then creates a splinter timeline, explaining why certain Doctors have come back, savaged by the logic of time because they're older. So as example, Sylvester McCoy woke up in a drawer in a morgue in San Francisco, and John Pertwee woke up on the floor of a lab. And that kind of ties in with the Tales of the TARDIS spin-off thing that they did when they did the Curse of Fenric one, and the Seventh Doctor says, like, time streams are funny things, and some I regenerate and others I don't. It's all a matter of perspective. So that version of the Doctor clearly never regenerated and just kept on going. So I think that's how they're explaining how 14 can settle down and just be with Donna and like that the rest of that family, and the 15th Doctor can still go off and have adventures and stuff, which sounds really convoluted to me.
A little, yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. I love the idea of it. I think it's like, if you're going to do the 60th, you need like the 50th change it
all
up.
Out. Like, yeah, really go all out.
Yeah, I mean, like the 50th technically retcons the end of the Time War, but for a good reason. I like that as an idea. And so the 60th is like, well, we'll just do regeneration but do it differently. Because even I said before, why the hell can't we have like a good chunk of time where the current Doctor meets the future Doctor? So it's like the reverse of a multi-Doctor special. And you literally have 14 and 15 teaming up to battle the Toymaker on top of the Unit Tower playing catch.
We challenge you to a game.
Exactly. And I love that as an idea. I really do. And you know what?
I never really thought about that's just hit me now. Because obviously they choose to play the simplest game known to man. Catch.
Yeah.
So, there's this really like quite intense game of catch going on. I mean, like they're going all out trying to catch this little juggling ball.
Oh, they're going for it.
And when the Toymaker misses it, obviously the ball goes flying off the roof. What if it hits somebody?
Death to everything.
It's a canon event. It can't be stopped.
Don't you dare
it's just some like person just getting along, and then all they see is like a juggling ball just yeet toward them. It's like, oh, this is the worst day ever.
I will say this though, I actually think this is the first time ever, I think, where I think I've kind of fallen in love with a new Doctor within seconds, because that's never happened.
I love the personality of him.
Oh yeah, because I think going back to my history with Who, my first regeneration that I witnessed myself was Matt Smith to Peter Capaldi. It took the entire series for me to really get the 12th Doctor, and then series 10 to actually really love him. 13, I'm sorry, it just never worked, unfortunately, because of the direction that character was taken in. Not the performance, as I've already said. I think Whittaker did about as good as he can with the material that she's given.
She did what she could, considering the absolute sludge she was given.
Yeah.
And then, the regeneration is she just steps outside the TARDIS and, quite frankly, just turns into an atomic bomb.
And then even with 13 to 14, I'm still like, dangerous, desperate, dangerous, difficult to tell. But Shooty within seconds is just terrific, and I'm really even the next time trailer for was it the Church on Ruby Road, I think it's the Christmas special it's called, like just his energy alone, I'm like, yeah, I'm there. Even just the shot of him running across rooftops is just like, yeah, I'm there for that immediately. I don't know what it is.
I love the little scene where they're in like some sort of attic, and Ruby, what I'm assuming is to be the companion, it's like, what are they? Goblins.
I just like that we've got Christmas goblins. And apparently there's like an entire dance number or like a musical number. I'm like, why not? It's Christmas, you might as well. You might as bloody well.
Well, we're going to have the goblins dancing to the Pogues Fairy Tale of New York.
Yes. I like that as an idea.
Yeah. Brilliant. A fantastic Christmas song.
And it is. But yeah, the whole concept of this whole bi-generation thing, I think it's just such a weird idea. But again, you kind of have to do it.
Well, it's like what I was saying before, you can't just do the same thing over and over again, despite what people say, because there's always going to be that group of fans where it's like, oh, we could really do with something new now. So I am pleased that, I was not expecting it. I'm sure you weren't as well.
I think I'd heard rumours like months ago, but I thought like on paper it sounds ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
I couldn't picture it in my head. But also I'd completely forgot about it up until the point when he stops lighting up like a Christmas tree. I was like, oh Christ, hang on, oh I know what they're doing.
Hold on a second.
Exactly what this is.
This is different. Pull
me. Just like, excuse me, Donna already has. Thank you very, very much. And Mel probably thought about it.
And I just love when, obviously on Bonnie's side, it's the other doctor that comes out and she's like, what do you think? I think you're beautiful.
Just like, I still am. She's like, yeah. She's like, yes, you are. Yeah, you are. But yeah, I think it's such a good idea. I really do. Just like, it's, we've already seen previous eras completely like change the way we've seen the show before, like Child.
Sometimes not for the better either.
Well, exactly, but also because they do that and then do absolutely nothing with it. There's clearly something to be done with this, and I'm very fascinated to see what happens. But that does also mean that, if Tennant did decide to come back before he's like 90, you absolutely could, and it wouldn't break anything because it would just be this version that's settled down. Hell, he could even become the curator from the 50s.
I'm pleased they have given it thought, though. They haven't just said, like, oh yeah, he's doing this, the end. There's always something else they can do. Even if it sounds utterly ludicrous, but it works for Doctor Who, because it's science fiction at the end of the day. Anything is possible in the genre.
Yeah, exactly. And even like Russell said, like, this is steering close to fantasy now, and I'm like, that's fine. It's 60 years old, do something different. That's why I like these specials so much, is because they are different. It shows that Doctor Who can be different and how it works. So for me, that's absolutely fine. Like, seeing some of the internet discourse is just frankly petty as hell.
Some of it, I'm just like, wow, just seriously. But you know what it is? The Toy Maker's right. It's like the whole speech and, quite realistic approach, his approach to how humans react. It is literally everybody has to win.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? That is absolutely social commentary in Doctor Who.
As
it always has been.
Genius.
But it bloody works. Like, I was sat there thinking, yes, you've actually, like, finally we've got a villain that's actually weaponized the thing that I hate the most, which is just the internet right now.
Yeah.
Like, of course there would.
Because then everybody's like, well, surely then everybody loses because nobody can win. It's like, yes, it's the ultimate game.
Mm-hmm. And I just love that as an idea. Win. Yeah, I think it's brilliant. And as I mean,
the one thing I didn't mention with the scenes is just after he's had his Strictly Come Dancing styled appeal on in the unit headquarters, he finds his way outside, and I think the speech he gives is, "Ooh, I like the laser that goes the bang and the boom."
It's so good. I didn't actually realise, the gun reference, the material that's in it, I think is actually a reference to Midnight, where it's like the crystals on Midnight that's like, how like the sunlight's really deadly or something. Apparently it's from that, and I'm like, I just love that that's the thing that actually kills him in the end. I like that. That's fine with me. I think that's a really cool idea. As I say, I think we both just said, like, just straight up, I think the best of the three is absolutely the Giggle. I think it's terrific. Sure.
Not that the other ones aren't good.
Oh no,
they are not great, but this is just absolutely spectacular for a special.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely closely followed by Wild Blue Yonder, just obviously ruined a bit by a weird open and it's a really bad green screen. And in retrospect, the Star Beast is a little bit too safe. It's a bit like the Force Awakens approach, where it's like, I get why it's being safe, but at the same time,
yeah, don't feel afraid to like go out and do all you can. But yeah, I do think it's a little bit too safe at times. It's still very good though, very enjoyable. Meet.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And I just think, in general, this is just nice to finally be talking about new Doctor Who that we're really excited for. Because I think after watching
when
last
talked
night
about like the Chibnall era, we're all just like, welcome back.
Let's just do this. Let's get through it. Let's
just get it over with. But now we're like, holy crap.
Yeah, well, we are actually buzzing to talk about it. I don't know. I mean, we
the
might do
endorphins
a
are
mini
rushing through me right now.
Oh yeah. I don't plan on doing like a full episode dedicated to the Christmas special. I'll see how it goes. We might just do it as like a mini-sode thing again, and sometime next year. But I am very excited to see it. I think it looks.
Oh, I am. Can't wait.
Just
Tuck me
interesting
into my
alone.
Christmas dinner while watching some Doctor Who. Can't wait.
I don't know what I'll be tucked into. Probably just a lot of rum, I think. Probably. I feel like. I don't know. I don't know how my schedule's going to work like on Christmas yet, but I'll definitely try and catch it either live or pretty close to it. But yeah, I think that have we missed anything out in this one? I don't think we missed anything.
I don't think we have.
Major?
We've pretty much spoke about everything. Well, we've talked about 3 specials.
Oh, we have. I don't think we've missed anything. If there is,
No.
We'll
It's really
catch
not
it when
that
we-
important if we have missed anything.
No, definitely not. We'll definitely talk about more when we cover Series 14, Season 1, whatever it's called. I don't know what I'm going to call that bloody video yet. I might just take them and just call it Series 14, because that's what it is.
Reboot of Series 1.
Yes, just Series 1.3,
It's
version 3.
1.5.
1.5. But yeah, I think that covers our thoughts on the 60th anniversary specials of Doctor Who. As I say, we're both just overjoyed to be talking about Nice Who again.
Oh, it is.
And
It's
especially-
just- it's so great just to actually be able to go into a podcast where we're talking about Doctor Who and we both are really excited to talk about it.
Exactly, yeah, it's just really nice. It's a nice change, especially after the hot takes galore of last week, which still will haunt me until the end of my days. Never playing that game again.
For those who are wondering what it is, we wrapped up our conversations on the Halo games. Obviously, the last one we did was Halo Infinite. We didn't discuss 5 because I had no access to 5, and apparently 5 is just rubbish. So, yeah, it turns out I really don't like Halo Infinite. I've gone to naming it Halo It's Not So Fun It.
It's not fun it.
It's not fun it. No, it's not.
It's
And
not
Regan
fun it.
is still a bit,
Shell-shocked, we'll say.
yeah.
In fact,
But
it
no,
was
it is
so
nice just to be able to
traumatized,
go-
and I've now gotten trench foot.
Jesus, that's extreme. You unhygienic kid.
Dan, we went to war on this game. Of course, I was going to contract trench foot.
Of course, you're gonna contract galactic trench foot.
Galactic trench foot.
But it is really nice just to talk about Doctor Who again that we're really excited for, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as I say, I think that's our full thoughts on the 60th anniversary. So thank you very much for listening to us. Hopefully, we do have a script. We have adhered to it for the most part, so I hope it's not too rambly. I'll see what happens in the edit.
We'll see.
We'll see. And this is our penultimate episode of 2023. So we will be back next week with our slightly early Christmas special. In fact, it's the Christmas special that we planned to do last Christmas until some, unforeseen internet issues meant we couldn't do it.
Unforeseen internet problems.
Unforeseen
you
because
could
can't
really
see the
call it
internet.
that, to be honest.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about what I personally consider to be the greatest Christmas movie of all time, Home Alone from 1990 AD.
You know what? Truth be told, I haven't watched Home Alone in the best part of... how old am I now? 25. It's been years.
Gonna have to break out Disney Plus once again, Dan.
Well, it's fine, because I got Disney Plus, and I'll try not to upset you like I did with Halo Infinite if I have a change of heart on it.
If you turn around and say that Home Alone is like single-handedly the worst thing since like
Snore Alone.
Snore Alone. He does actually.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, that barely passes as a joke because that's literally what he does. He's on his own. He's like, no one here. Oh, never mind. But yes, next week we'll be talking about Home Alone for our Christmas special, so you can look forward to that. Thank you very much for listening. As ever, make sure to like, share, subscribe, blah blah blah. Check out our Doctor Who playlist in the description below. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week. And until then, it's goodbye from Dan.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.